Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And for this exciting adventure, I've actually come to the wild lands of Glenisla, and today we're visiting this incredible feat of engineering, we'll call it. It's actually the Backwater Dam, it's the Backwater Reservoir would be its correct name, and it feeds the water. It's basically the water supply for some Angus towns, but also Dundee, a big like Scottish city near here. So like, it's cool to come and see this. I have been here a couple of times over the years, and I think last time I came here it was like snowing, and I fell over when I was walking down the side of this. At that time the water was coming over the overflow here. Just check this out. This time of year the water's actually so low that the overflow has got nothing going over it. It is a little bit windy today folks, and I do apologise for that in the audio. Yeah, this is so cool. You can see the tower out there in the water. The interesting thing with that tower, there's actually two pipes. One of them goes down to the bottom of the overflow, and the other one leads all the way to Lintrathen Loch, which is further down the glen. Just check this out here. So certain times of year this overflow here is proper like gushing out, but it shows the water's probably like 2 metres lower than what it normally is, maybe even more, 3 or 4 metres. So this dam here was actually opened by the late Queen in 1969, and I remember like at that time my granny actually was at the opening of this place back in the day. They all came to witness the opening of this, and to see the Queen, it was such a special thing back at that time. And I think they had grandstands at the far side where those trees are at the top. And there's actually a really interesting documentary on the Scottish Water YouTube channel, and it shows in depth exactly how they built this dam. And right now you have to imagine the huge body of water which is up behind us at this point. It's just incredible. It's been a while since I've explored this place in depth, and it's just so cool to see like the magnitude of what they did back then. Think of the cement when they poured all this. It's absolutely massive folks. Anyway, I'll update you once we get to the bottom of this incredible feat of engineering. So check this out here folks, at this point in the overflow it comes swooping down that cement, and look, it turns into steps. And the deal with that is it's to control the flow of the water and to slow it down. That basically takes the momentum out of the water. Same with this pond at the bottom. Down here it's obviously designed to slow the water down, but also there's like pipes, little round pipes sunk into the ground, and that's also to take the flow out of the water. Because you have to imagine in a massive like storm at a wet time of year, the water will just be coming fleeing down here at high speed. But yeah, it's smart to see. The wind's so extreme, it's not even gusting, it's just like a steady, strong wind like, and it's crazy. I thought maybe at the bottom of the hill there'd be less wind and it'd be easier to record. Yeah, it's not until you come down to the bottom of the hill you really get a sense of the scale of this dam and the size of it. It's just incredible. It's a true feat of engineering here, hidden in these wild lands. And there was actually farms, or there was at least one farm which actually got buried by the water. It got completely covered over. But I think when they were needing a certain type of gravel or earth, they were actually quarrying it from an area at that farm as well. Because it's quite cool in the documentary about this place. You actually see them with old trucks and stuff, like bringing the supplies in from different areas, and the bulldozers at that time. Just incredible, the old way they did things. It was incredible to see the size of the things that they took on. And there's like a camera here, and I believe, I'm not sure exactly what it's for. It looks like there's some sensors on it and stuff, but I think the main reason it's there is for monitoring this at the far side. And like I was saying, that tower which is in the middle of the water, one of the pipes actually comes down through the ground. It pretty much follows underneath almost the route of the overflow, I believe, and it comes down through that building, and I think they can control it. It's like called a scouring pipe, and then that mesh opens up and the water literally comes flying out of that hole at high speed. I think originally they had to actually go into that building to operate it, and there would have been probably a dam keeper kind of boy that kicked about doing things like that. Maybe people stationed here operating it, but nowadays I believe it's actually like remotely controlled by Scottish Water. And I think that's the reason they have these cameras constantly like monitoring the outlet here. But the reason they need a scouring pipe is because it takes the debris and the dirty kind of residue or whatever away from the top of the other pipe, and the other pipe's actually the main water supply pipe, which goes right under the ground, miles, probably like, I'm not sure, it's probably like 7 or 8 miles under the ground to Lintrathen Loch, which that was the original water supply back in the day until 1969. At that time, Lintrathen Loch was starting to struggle to keep up with the modern supply of water which was needed, and at that time this became obviously the best location they could use. It's cool to see the architecture they used in the 60s, the late 60s. It's almost space age, the way they built things, the way all the cement and stuff's like put together. It's just special to see. And I just love the wildness of this glen. It's always a nice drive when you come up Glenisla. Look at the shape of that cement, folks. It's proper windy at this point here, but at least we can see this incredible feat of engineering. Check it out, folks. We'll have a look over this little bridge into the settling pond. Yeah, you can actually see it here, like what I was saying. It's got these pipes which lead down into the ground, almost look like drain pipes, but they're all the way around this area. And when the water flows over the top of that, it breaks the flow. And I think the way the water would drop into those pipes and then probably it'll be coming back out, that'll push up against the water above and slow it down. It's quite clever. And look at the architecture of this building here. Probably designed in the early 60s, considering it was built in 1969. There was probably a lot of planning and stuff had to go into a project like this. And it's interesting the way they did the different layers in the ground. And credit to it, it still looks in great condition, even nowadays, so long after. Wow, this is so interesting to see, folks. I'm going to take a walk right around there because I can see another kind of construction at that side. But I'm not really wanting to go to that side because I'm not sure if it's like private Scottish Water area or whatever. I'm literally just wanting to document this history, and then we're on our way. 1969 water supply for the country, still used obviously to this day. This is a crucial supply of water to the Angus area and also the Dundee area. Check that out, folks. What an angle of this place. It's just incredible to see, and you have to imagine this old riverbed which leads away down would have actually been an original river which was leading down this place, and that was the way that once they blocked that, they were able to fill the dam up. But obviously that river will rise and fall depending on how much water is either coming over the overflow or coming out of that big pipe on the wall. But if you ever get the chance to see that scouring pipe in operation, it's worth seeing. I've seen it one time when I was driving along the top. Literally, if the water's coming out of there, it's coming out with so much force, it would literally just like wipe you out. And that's how you have to watch. It looks like it's dry down there and you could walk about, but if they opened that up, so much water would come out of there, it would just sweep you away. It would be an absolute madness, folks. Yeah, this is so cool to see. This is an angle. I don't think I've walked this far around here before. Very recently as well, all these trees have been clear felled around here. And when you're driving up now to the dam, you get a proper like view of it. So cool, folks. There's another device over here, and I'm not sure if that's some secondary smaller outlet. Maybe some sort of pressure like regulator. It's so interesting, folks. I love exploring wee corners of the world that are it's hardly seen I've never actually been down to this bit. Probably if you had a BMX or a skateboard, this would be a cool little bit to go. But I suppose your wheels on the skateboard would be going into those pipes. Check this out folks, 45-degree slope right here. There's all these lids underneath and you can hear the water. Listen to that folks. It just shows you like how much is potentially going on under the ground at a site like this. There's so much more than just like that big pipe and stuff going to Lintrathen Loch. There's some mad, probably underground tanks and chambers, different mechanisms. And I'm just wanting to see what this looks like over here, because it's a fair setup with cement and it looks like it's newly built. So I'm just wanting to look over from this side here. It's cool to see the construction with the cement. It almost contrasts the incredible green lush landscape around it. It's like industrial human-made items in the middle of this lush paradise folks. It's an incredible contrast. Yeah, wow. There's some massive pipe right there coming out of the ground. Coming out of the dam. This is insane folks. Yeah, this all must have been rebuilt. I ken what they've done, they've extended this area along with this. Because when they open that tap, that water must come flying out of there. That's some secondary device they've put in. So it just shows you even this site here is developing and changing over the years. Maybe as new water technologies are brought in, it's like, the site's obviously developed and updated. This is so cool though folks. I love having a wee walk like this into places and just seeing how they do things often. For the supply of water to the country here, gone are the days of the boy getting a pipe from up the hill out of a wee burn. So up on the dam wall itself here we can see these 3 small sheds, and I think they were put in at this site for the monitoring of the settlement of the dam wall, because there's so many different layers of different materials, different grades of stone or earth material, and literally inside those there was like fibres which went down, and there was electronic sensing devices, very crude, and it was like early technologies, but they were able to monitor the settlement of the dam and the movement of the dam through those fibres, through those cables, and it's quite interesting. We'll go up and walk straight up to the road past these sheds, because it looks like the doors are still open after all these years. So I believe the access to the tower in the middle of the water is actually from this shed here, and I think the path to the tower pretty much goes up the same line as the pipe. I think I'll try and get up these steps here rather than climbing up the actual stone. It's cool to see the way they've built all this stone in here though, for sure. And this is almost like a copper material that they've made a lot of the surfaces and stuff out of. It's probably quite a decent surface for like lasting for a long time, because I see it's all the way up like the roof of that place. It's mad, the old architecture and things though, but I bet in the original drawings they didn't think of those big ugly like anti-climb spikes. That ruins the original architecture of the building. Just look at this folks, think of the day that this place was drawn onto the paper. The people would have decided, I will put the steps up there. But the strange thing with these steps, they don't go right to the top. So the maintenance folk must have just had to come up as far as this. But you would think that they would have been going to all the sheds. Maybe it just wasn't financially viable for them to have steps right to the top. They were maybe trying to deter folk from walking right down here to the business end of this site. Oh wait, look at this folks, check out this wee shed. You can tell it's no longer needed for the like checking the dam settling. I think they've got new devices of measure these days. Check out this, look, there's a roll of that fibre cable that I was saying. See how it goes round and round and round? That was what it is, like they had some electronic device connected to that. And look, there's still like tapes and gauges on the wall right there. And then all this sticking out the wall. You see how those cables go way into the wall of the dam? Yeah, it's just crazy, folks. This will be a home to like frogs and stuff nowadays, probably. I think originally there was a little drain in the corner, and it must have drained out at the bottom of the hill, whereas nowadays all that stuff will just be clogged up and choked. Anyway, let's head on up to the next wee shed. Look at this, folks. This one's been heavily vandalised recently by the looks of things. The door and stuff's lying over here, and it's such a shame to see that. Like, folk have literally come up here and been partying or whatever, but they've just clearly been like smashing the place up, kicking the door out of its frame. And you have to think, like, if they're lucky enough to have a little place like this that they can come up to and relax and have a drink, have a bit of fun, and they're not even bothered probably by anybody, why would you then destroy the place? That's the reason folk would be annoyed about them even being here in the first place. It's just absolute craziness, folks. I can see the spider webs and stuff. I probably just walked right through that. I don't know how well that comes out on the camera. Yeah, here's more of these devices of measure, folks, sticking out of the wall. And you can see this board. This historical item here, folks. Let's turn it around. Look at that. Yeah, it's mad. There's like taps on there and stuff, so I'm not sure how all that worked. And look at the measuring devices. It must have been something to do with water or whatever as well, because I can see the pipes are in line with that measuring stick. Look at it, folks. What a crazy artefact of history. And look, that's got a battery in it. It's interesting to see. And then this pipe here leads straight on down. And these are colour coded, so I'm not sure. Now look at this here, this is incredible. Look at all these pipes, they've all been like joined and twisted around. And there's pipes and stuff going out all directions, which shows that we're just measuring the wall like all over. Look at that, it's been capped, that pipe there. Interesting, folks, the history that's on show sometimes, it's so cool just to see. And then look at this, I'm not sure if there was some sort of measuring device could like bolt onto the front of there. Maybe this is a more modern idea. Because that stone there is just different to all the others. It's almost like it's a pipe with a cap on the end of it. But that's like threaded with a standard quarter thread or whatever. Yeah, all this has been pulled out and it's such a shame. All these pipes. Anyway, we'll head up and see the next little shed. It's crazy, each of these sheds has got a different character, different level of decay. And just check out the view now, looking over this site. Wow, it's so cool, folks. I love wee adventures like this sometimes. Just checking out a place like this, it's just so mad. Just think under my feet, the layers of the earth, the way they built it all and compressed it. I'm always just amazed that they can control water to that degree. Think of the force of water here at the other side of this wall. Madness, folks, an absolute madness. Here we go, here's the next little interesting little shed. This one's probably in the best condition, potentially. Wow. It's quite cool to be out of that wind. It's so windy. I'm just trying to keep the camera off at the best angle so it's out of the wind. Look, there's been swallows nesting in here. Look, you can see some of the mud they've been gathering, right, has been from the rusty puddle. And then other mud they've been gathering, look at that. It's been just for somewhere else. And it just shows that rusty, dirty mud. They've made their house out of it. Crazy, folks. Now look at this device here. It's got this cable coming out of the tube, leading round a thing that looks like a wheel, bike wheel. It's almost like the bit of metal that's lying outside the other door down there. And it's got this crude weight hung on it, which is just mad, folks. Look at that. It's just almost like something you would rig up if you were just joeying it up for a while. So I'm not sure what they'd be measuring with that, but it's interesting just to theorise the history, like what could it be, and I'm really not too sure. There's maybe something on the other end of it which is like a float in a chamber, and maybe they can tell from the movement of this like how much moisture or water is within the dam wall, but I really don't know for sure. I'm just throwing out some theories of history right there. Look at this, it's got the wee door. Look, it's actually got a thumb lock on the back. So maybe when the gentleman who was fixing this or whatever came in, he would then like lock the door and work away at what he was doing. It's like there's been more bolted on this wall originally. And it's built with like the red brick, the poured cement roof. And then it's not just plain doors either, look, they're fancy with the studs. It's almost like a castle door design. And they maybe did stuff like that because they knew the Queen was going to come and open it, so they gave it those extra little cherries on top. Right folks, let's head out of this incredible feat of engineering that we find ourselves in the middle of. And look, there's more of these capstones here with that. It's like there's a sensor inside there that they can plug onto. Look, there's two here. I believe that must be for some sort of device of measure. Because there's another interesting thing with cement pillars down the outside, so I wonder if they would connect something to this and then to the pillar, and then they would maybe compare the level or the height depending on how much the ground had dropped or moved. Anyway, let's head along. I'm wanting to have a closer look at the overflow at the far end. Because the water's so low, it's cool to see it, how it was built, how it was constructed. So check it out folks, this is actually a main road that leads along the top of here, so it's pretty cool getting to drive over a massive dam. And there's the tower at the far side where the scouring pipe and the water supply pipe comes out of. So check this out folks, look how this wall at the back of the road here is shaped so that the waves, when the water's at this height, the waves are actually deflected back down to the dam side of this place. And now I'm just walking along the dam wall and check it out, you see the angle of the stones, and this disappears away in, it's super deep. And I think that's like 36 metres or whatever from the bottom of that cement piece down to the ground. Well, down to the floor underneath the water. Yeah, this is just insane here folks, I love seeing things like this, and it's actually less windy at this side of the dam wall. But I'm thinking I'll be able to walk right past and have a look at the overflow, and I'll just go back out that gate. You can see here how there's no moss and grass at the height where the normal water level must be at this height. And I can see folk camping. There's a few different spots all the way around here, and it looks super busy today. Shout out if you're watching this video and you're one of the folk probably kicking about here today. At this time of year when the water's low, there's like a proper beach the whole way around here, and it's a cool little spot to come to. And there's some good areas as well for like skimming stones. Some of these little beach areas have got some cool flat stones. Yeah, it's a nice spot folks, a paradise spot. This time it's one which has been created by man. There would have been no beach line around here years ago at the days of the farming and the agriculture. On the documentary as well, they actually show you them making these stones. These are actually man-made blocks, and they actually got the supply for these blocks within this area here, and they poured them and cast them to be like this. This is a particular design they've done with the different sizes and the different shapes, and that was for strength and rigidity. Like, that's what it's like throughout this whole construction. They also wanted it to look good, like if the water level was down, the place had to look to a decent level, because obviously they're changing the landscape so much. Probably nowadays if they built this there would be a massive uproar in the area, so I'm guessing it must have been kind of like that at that time as well. So check this out folks, it's actually differently shaped at this end. Where the overflow is, it's perfectly level, and the water actually comes over from one end to the other at the same time. Whoa, that butterfly nearly flew into me there. But yeah, the interesting thing with this wall at this side, it's a proper right angle, as opposed to this one here, which is like the slope. Just check it out, it's cool to see this. You can see how the water line obviously lines up with this, the top of the overflow. It's just mad folks. I'll jump up so we can get a decent look at the cement construction here. Yeah, let's check this out, look, you can see how the water flows over it. Yeah, it's just cool. It's almost like a natural, well it's no natural, it's a man-made cavern down here. And the roar down here when the water's going over is just so impressive. That's how it's so cool on a summer's day to come here and just see how it is with no water. And just check this out folks, it's mad to see. I can hear the seagulls chirping and squawking overhead. I think some of them actually nest on top of the tower. You also get folk like wild swimming out here as well. I've seen that a few times. But you can just imagine, I wouldn't go swimming too near the tower, because imagine they opened up the pipe, even the scouring pipe or whatever, you'd come fleeing out the hole at the bottom of the hull. Or even worse, you could end up doing it at the water treatment works at Lintrathen Loch. Yeah, I think at this end, obviously, the bottom's shallower at this side, and that's to get the flow of the water going away. And on the documentary about this place, you actually see how originally they had built a scale model of the site, and then they put the water over the overflow to get the design. But then another thing they do with that model, they overload it, and they put an extremely large amount of water over that would never happen in reality, just to test it. And it was interesting to see how this structure could handle that, even if there was like 10 times the amount of water. The way this is all shaped and designed is on purpose, to control that extra water. So interesting folks, but when you see the cement, even the shapes of things and that, you just get that mad 1960s vibe from it. You can also see from the shape of the cement work on the tower in the middle how the architecture was back then. It's almost like, with the long windows and stuff, it is like almost Art Deco. There's some mad like Art Deco vibes with this place. Anyway, I'll have to jump back down here. This is just kind of some rough bit of ground here. Even this area here has been shaped and constructed for the flow of the water. And you can see the height of the water up on these stones as well. I'm going to jump down. I'd be better jumping at this level bit actually, so I didn't break my ankle folks. Yeah, this is so cool. I just love adventures like this. Seeing things that's rarely seen and documenting them for the world. Because obviously it's not advised to probably come along this way on a day like today. This is just like a beach. But obviously if it was a super like storm or something, I wouldn't be near this area. This is so interesting folks, check this out. I don't know if originally this was some like car park or whatever, or it's maybe just been put here to deflect the water away from this end of the overflow and to make sure it goes over the overflow straight, so the flow goes where they need it. But we can see even from this initial little bit of the coastline here, well it's not coastline but the shoreline of the dam, you can see it's just like a beach. One day I always fancied doing a complete circuit of this place, just taking it all in, but I've still not done it yet. Maybe we'll have to do that one day soon. But today it's been cool to come and see what we've seen, document this incredible feat of engineering, and shout out to all the Scottish water team, because it's fine to have fresh water coming out of your tap when you switch it on, and that's what their job is. I've never had a time when I've put my tap on and the water's not come out yet, so shout out to Scottish Water. It's a great job they do, and places like this obviously keep the taps flowing. Yeah, this is savage, folks. I think last time I was here it was actually snowing, and when I walked down the far side of that dam I slipped, and the video's still on the channel. So it is cool to come back in the summer and do a video and see the difference at the different times of years, like how less savage it is at this time of year. It looks almost like a paradise scene, whereas in the winter, like, the wind was just ice cold. It was like -15. And another thing on the video about this place was frozen from one side to the other in the 1960s, and you could have probably like walked on the ice, whereas nowadays it would rarely freeze over to that degree. Yeah, it's been mad, folks. Anyway, I'm just about back at my car, so I'm going to end this video here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next scene, wherever I end up going.